Okay, we're back again. We're just going over, kind of music theory in general, and kind of blues playing in particular. We just went over the 5 pentatonic shapes, and I can go over again. 5/8, 5/7, 5/7, 5/7, 5/8, 5/8. And what you'll notice is when you're either playing pentatonic, diatonic, it doesn't really matter. You will always, we'll just stick with pentatonic for now, you will always have the same 5 shapes follow each other in the same exact order, no matter what key a song is in. That's why pentatonic is so easy, because you can't get in trouble. The diatonic scale has 2 extra notes. When you're doing A minor pentatonic, you're leaving out B as in boy and F as in so just remember, you're leaving out the B and the F. And those 2 notes, when you're playing over certain chords, you can have issues, especially when you're playing the F, and that's deeper music theory that we won't go into now. But you'll know it. If you hit an F over certain chords, you just you cringe and you want to pull your hair out. So pentatonic will not get you in trouble as much when you're playing, basically 80% of what you hear. Now, if you listen to a lot of jazz, then guess what? You can just pretty much disregard this. But if you're listening to stuff on the radio, it's really simple. Another thing is that the 5 different positions follow each other. They just start in a different location. But pentatonic number 2 is always going to follow pentatonic number 1, followed by number 3, followed by number 4, followed by number 5. It just depends on where you're going to start. And so I'll give you an example. We were just showing you in A minor, which is going to be, I'll just do the first 2 shapes to show you. Which is going to be 5/8, 5/7, 5/7, 5/7, 5/8, 5/8, and this is 8/10, 7/10, 7/10, 7/9, 8/10, 8/10. If we do E minor as opposed to A minor, what you're going to have is number 2 is going to follow number 1, but guess what? You don't start down here at the 5th fret, you start at the 12th fret. So E minor. So number 2 follows number 1, but instead up here you are going to do 12/15, 12/14, 12/14, 12/14, 12/15, 12/15. The exact same spacing visually as you have down here. Because remember, 5/8, 5/7, 5/7, 5/7 is 3 fret, 2 fret, 2 fret, 2 fret. Here we got the exact same thing here. 12/15 is 3 frets, 12/14 is 2, 2, and 2. So you have the same deal, and then you're going to scoot up here to pentatonic number 2, which is going to be 15/17, and then 14/17, 14/17, 14/16, then 15/17, 15/17. Exact same thing. 2 frets, 3 frets twice, then 2 frets 3 times in a row. It's the exact same thing down here. And it doesn't matter if you're in B flat minor. Let's figure out how we're going to do that. Here's A, here's B, so there's B flat minor, same thing. Basically, it's the exact same deal. So the next thing is to how do you figure out where you're at? Well, the easiest way to do that is to, number 1, you have to make sure you practice your shapes, and I'll go into that in just a second. But the other thing you really want to do, if you have something that's really, really minor sounding, whether it's Black Sabbath, whether it's, if we're talking about blues, we're talking about Albert King especially, that kind of deep blues is what I call it. Almost all that, I'll give it my 80% rule. 80% of the time you're going to be in a minor key, and 80% of the time you are going to be in pentatonic number 1. You can sometimes have pentatonic number 4 as your first one, but usually it's going to be pentatonic number 1. And the way you find that is you find the root note of the first chord they play, but you find that on the 6th string only. Whether it's that note, whether it's that note, whether it's that note, or that note, it doesn't matter. 80% of the time you're going to have pentatonic number 1. Now, if you're listening to the Eagles or the Monkees, you're probably going to be more than likely at pentatonic number 2. Pentatonic number 1 is a minor pentatonic because it starts on A. Pentatonic number 2, which we'll do here one more time, is is major pentatonic because it starts on C. If you do pentatonic number 3, that's a minor pentatonic because it starts on D. Pentatonic number 4 is also a minor pentatonic because it starts on E. So technically, if you're in a minor key, you're going to be usually pentatonic number 1, number 3, or number 4. In practice, 80% of the time it's going to be number 1. If you're talking about doing pentatonic number 3, especially the Allman Brothers, maybe, that's more of a theoretical, using ninth chords and more advanced kind of stuff like that. B.B. King's a little bit different because he's a little bit of both. He does a lot of mixolydian things, which I won't even get into now. But let me go ahead and show you how that works in practice with playing along with the CD, and I just happen to have Albert King here. Also remember, I don't think I went back to show you how I'm tuned. I'm tuned to standard, so if you're tuned good, you're okay. Now keep in mind, if you are out of tune with whatever record you're playing with, because some people can be, they're not exactly A equals 440, they may be A equals 435 for some reason because they just tune the guitar to itself. You won't sound wrong, but you'll never sound right. If that makes sense? I don't know. But as long as you're in tune with it, and the way you tune to a song is you find a note that you know is what it should be. If it's an E, you make sure that you're tuned about right the way it sounds. But I'm going to play along with some Albert King, and we'll see what the deal is if I can get the CD player to work. Let's see. Okay, so I'm just going to slide till I find it. Can you cut this down? All right. Sounds like that may be it. Let's see. Can you hear it? You might not be able to hear the background. I think that is it. So let's try it. So yeah, that right. Actually, funny. That was B flat minor. Actually. And you don't have to play that fast. Actually, if you want to play like Albert King, who's a badass mofo, is you just... Another secret. Put your pick in your mouth, but don't swallow it. Don't... I'll just let him go. It's a little more up-tempo, so he is playing a little bit faster than he normally does, but he usually just digs and bends and just blow your mind. But anyway, I'm going to start showing you by connecting the pentatonic. So, by the way, if you're playing along, this is going to be 6-9, 6-9, 6-8, 6-8, 6-8, 6-9, 6-9. So I'll shift and go through the positions. I'm going to shift and shift up and come down the next time. Oops, messed that one up. Did you hear that? That didn't quite sound right. Oh, no, that ain't it. Better. Now we're going to do pentatonic number 5 now. And so those all follow each other in the same order as I was saying before. We happen to be in B flat minor there, so you're starting here on the 6th fret. We're going to go to the next song, and I'm going to find out where the root note is by sliding. I think that's it. Let's try it. Ah, I got tricked. Not it. We're back to A minor again. For some reason, that first chord wasn't exactly the tonic note of the song, which sometimes it sounded at first. And of course now you can hear it. No, but listen. I'm going to slide it for you. Listen. Some others may sound okay. That sounds alright. Hell no. Maybe. Nah. Here, that sounds just with it. I'll just keep on vibrating the fool. Hopefully you can hear it. I mean, it just works all the way through it. So you basically find that, and then like I said, 80% of the time. And this is the same thing I showed you earlier. I know this key somewhat well. We'll go to one more. We'll see if we get a different key out of this. See what this is. I think we're going to be back at B flat major again. B flat minor, excuse me. You might not be able to hear it that well. Try one more that you might be able to hear a little bit better. Let's try this. Ah, we might have an E minor. Hear how this sounds better? Now this one happens when I take the pick and do it. Another thing to make sure you do is you don't have to play fast when you're playing blues, really is what it is. You know, that's just kind of playing. You can hear the difference when I'm just kind of... using this, I think, a lot of times. Using your thumb and your fingers for some reason just really sounds really cool. And you don't have to have that kind of distortion on, but with this little small thing, I can't really get a great blues tone out of it, unfortunately. This is a really cool amp, by the way. Vox lead. I can't remember, the whole thing's like $90. It's really cool if you want to check that out. It's operated on a 9-volt battery is basically what it is. The head's I think a AA, and I think the cabinets, they're two separate ones. That's why it's that. Anyway, but vibrato and bending are the two important keys that you want to get in addition to figuring out the different pentatonic shapes. And I'll get to that in the third lesson.